You are welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
Our topic is mode of nutrition. Read along. Mode of nutrition. Our learning objectives include the following. The first is you should be able to explain modes of nutrition. The second learning objective states that you'll be able to state the types of modes of nutrition. And the different types of mode of nutrition include, number one, autotrophic. And the second type is heterotrophic. This autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition, you will be expected to discuss it further, be able to give relevant information about the two types of modes of nutrition. You are expected to list the categories under each type, and you give relevant examples. Relevant examples. We will be looking into each one after the other. And lastly, it's expected that you'll be able to differentiate between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. Mode of nutrition. What is the concept of nutrition? Nutrition is described as the process by which food is taken in by living organisms to supply needed nutrients that is required for metabolic activities in the body. What do I mean by metabolic activities? These are different processes, characteristics, or processes of life, like movements, irritability. We are looking at nutrition that is carried out by both living things and non-living things. So the food nutrient is required for all the various activities that we call metabolic activities. The way an organism obtains food and utilizes food source is the mode of nutrition. The way organism obtains and utilizes food is what we are looking at as a mode of nutrition. And in a general way, mode of nutrition are grouped into two. They are grouped into two based on the organisms that possesses them. The first one is the autotrophs, and the second one is the heterotrophs. The autotrophs, they are organisms that are able to make their own food using inorganic substances. Because they are able to make their own food on their own, that is why they are called autotrophic organisms. Remember the way they obtain their food is what brings the concept modes of nutrition. Then the second group is what we call heterotrophs. These heterotrophs, they derive their food from already prepared food, prepared, synthesized, manufactured food. So indirectly, the group we call heterotrophs, they depend on autotrophs. And the way in which these heterotrophs derive their food, by virtue of what they do, they are called heterotrophic organisms. So we have both. This is autotrophic, and the second group is heterotrophic. The major types are highlighted here, but we are starting with the first one, autotrophic nutrition. Remember we said autotrophic organisms or mode of nutrition enables an organism to produce their own food by themselves using what? Inorganic substances from their environment. So this autotrophic nutrition is further divided into two. The first one is called photosynthesis. What did I call it? Photosynthesis. And the second one is called chemosynthesis. The processes through which this organism derives their food. The first is photosynthesis. In photosynthetic organisms, they depend on the light from the light energy. And here we are looking at the sun or the solar energy. Then the chemosynthetic organism or organisms that derive their food through chemosynthesis. This one, their energy they use is discovered from or taken from chemical substances from their environment. Here I have a picture of a chemosynthetic organism that they are able to produce their own food by themselves using energy that is obtainable within their environment. In this instance, we have the photosynthetic organism. You can see the green color here, and here you see the light energy. So this group of organisms that carry out their food through photosynthesis, they are able to trap the sunlight that radiates the energy on their body using their chlorophyll. Through this and other inorganic materials, they produce their own food. So the group of organisms that carries out this, they are equally said to be what? Autotrophic in nature. Now we move on to heterotrophic nutrition. Remember we said earlier on that heterotrophic organisms, they cannot produce food on their own. So how do they feed? They depend either directly or indirectly on manufactured food. Heterotrophs, they depend on plants. They depend on autotrophs for their food. Depending on the mode of living and the mode of intake of food, heterotrophs may be further divided into the following. The first is Holozoic nutrition, followed by saprophytic nutrition. The next organisms, they are called parasitic. And what we have as the last for this lesson is insectivorous or carnivorous mode of nutrition. We will be taking these 4 types of heterotrophic nutrition one after the other. In Holozoic nutrition, this refers to the process whereby an organism ingests organic food using either their mouth or what represents an opening in their body. Goat uses mouth to eat cockroaches, fish, and others. Openings, we will be talking of paramecium and some other organisms that they have openings. Even Ignena, that is a plant and is at the same time an animal. So what do? Holozoic. When they obtain the food will be digested. Enzymes are required. Here they need what? Enzymes to break down the food substances. As the food substances, the complex one is broken down into simple substances. The digested food substances will need to be absorbed into the system. It will be assimilated to the cells where they are going to be functioning. By the end of the day, we have ejection. And what does this one do? Or what does it mean? Here it is. Undigested food substances will be taken out of the body. Will be removed from the body. Example of organisms that carries out Holozoic mode of nutrition. The first is amoeba. Amoeba, Holozoic, yes. We'll get to see. Amoeba carries out Holozoic feeding. Remember, it takes in organic substances, it ingests it. Another organism is paramecium. We have dogs, we have goats, and several other organisms. I have a picture here of amoeba, how it does its feeding. The first stage here, amoeba is saying what? Injection, taking in the food substances. The second stage, we have amoeba using up the food. Enzymes are put, here is the food, the first stage, it goes into the body. Here, amoeba is about engulfing or enveloping. You can see the food particles here. Here we have the pseudopodia. This is pseudopodium. Pseudopodium, podium. It's when we are labeling the two sides that we can call it pseudopodia. Singular is pseudopodium. The two are labeled here, but when it is just single part, it's pseudopodium. So amoeba here has succeeded in engulfing the food particles. Digestion is taking place. And what do we have at the third level? You can see assimilation. The absorbed food is being taken in, assimilation, taken to the body. And the last stage, here we have ejection. Unwanted food substances is thrown out. Types of holozoic nutrition can be found in another group of organisms that we call consumers. And consumers, they are in three. The first, they are herbivores. What are herbivores? They are animals that feed on plants. Carnivores or carnivorous one, animals, they feed on flesh. And the last one is what we call omnivores. Omnivores, they are a group of organisms that feed on both plants and animals. They take plants and flesh as their food. All of this, they carry out holozoic nutrition. We move to the next type, which is what? Saprophytic nutrition. The name again, saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytic nutrition is carried out by a group of organisms that is called, collectively we call them saprophytes. What do we call them? Saprophytes. What are saprophytes? They are a group of organisms that derive their food from what? Dead organisms. The manner in which they derive their food is what is known as saprophytic nutrition. How do they do this? They secrete enzymes that are released on the food substance outside their body. So they carry out what is called extracellular digestion. The released enzymes break down the complex food substances into simple form. Examples of organisms that carries out this, they include fungi. And fungi as molds, the one that grows on your bread. Many of us love mushrooms. They are example of fungi. Then we have yeast. We use it industrially and even in the house. They are all example of organisms that feed saprophytically. Then several other bacteria. Here are pictures showing different organisms that feed saprophytically. You can see a mushroom there. We move to the next group, which is called insectivorous. Insectivorous, or you call them carnivorous. Carnivorous plants. Insectivorous or carnivorous plants. From the concept of insectivorous, what is that telling you? These ones are what? Insects. Organisms that feed on insects. But interestingly, these organisms are plants. They are able to derive their food, part of their food, from plants. What do they derive from the plants? Basically, these insectivorous or carnivorous plants were made to understand they grow at places where nitrogen supply is very low. So they depend on animals to supply them nitrogen. You know, nitrogen is an element that is very important to the development and activities of the cell. So for these plants to actually carry out a number of their cellular activities requiring nitrogen, they feed on insects or small animals. And example of this can be found. How do they do this? Before we go to the examples, they equally release digestive juice, which is what we studied mentioned under saprophytes, that they release what? Enzymes. So these enzymes that is secreted is able to absorb the nutrients from the food substances. Common examples of carnivorous or insectivorous plants, we have doda, we have pitcher plants. How do they do this? Let's focus on this. Can you see this? A doda. See this structure. You see that it has something like a hair. This end. Are you seeing it? Whenever insect or small animal runs into it and you see it closes up on it, enzymes like digestive juice, digestive juice are released on the insect or the animal. And from there, it's broken down, useful substances is absorbed. The same thing goes with pitcher plants. Looking at this pitcher plant, you see it appears like a cup. Are you seeing it? It has like a cup with a cover or a covering. Any insect or animal that runs inside the cover, it has a flap that closes on it and the animal will be digested. The last but not the least for today's lesson is parasitic nutrition. Parasitic nutrition. We are familiar with parasites. We have several of them. This is a type of nutrition in which organism lives on or inside the bodies of their hosts and feed on them. Among all the feeding relationship, the most dangerous one is the parasitic. Why? It derives nutrients from the hosts, and at the end, it will harm or damage the host. We have examples of plants that are parasitic in nature and a number of examples of animals too that are parasitic in nature. Remember, this organism can live on the body or inside the body of their host. Comparison, autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Let's quickly go through the table to see the differences between them. In autotrophic nutrition, they are able to prepare their food by themselves. In heterotrophic, they have lost that ability. They depend on already made food. In autotrophic nutrition, the required raw materials are water and carbon dioxide water, sunlight, and chlorophyll. Number 1, number 2, and number 3 are gotten from the environment. But this particular one is inside the plant itself. Sunlight is required to do this. In animal, they do not have materials to produce their food, so they depend on already made food. In autotrophic nutrition, they store their food as in the form of starch, whereas in heterotrophic nutrition, their food is stored in form of glycogen. So these are some serious differences that exist between autotrophic and heterotrophic modes of nutrition. Based on the lesson for today, I have some practice questions that will take you about 2 minutes to answer. State the types of nutrition. Discuss briefly carnivorous or insectivorous nutrition. Then I expect you to highlight differences between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. Welcome back. So let's go through the answers that I have put together. I want you to look into your book, compare your answers with what I have put together on the board. The types of modes of nutrition. Basically, we have autotrophic and heterotrophic. Remember, autotrophic, they are broadly grouped into photosynthetic and chemosynthetic. Then in case of the heterotrophic nutrition, which is the second type, they are further classified into holozoic, saprophytic, parasitic, insectivorous nutrition. Insectivorous or carnivorous nutrition. This describes plants that depend on animals for the supply of nitrogen. It can be insects, can be small animals. And lastly, autotrophs, they produce their own food, while animals depend on plants directly or indirectly. With this, we have come to the end of the lesson on the topic modes of nutrition.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
For questions, for observations, you can reach us through the social media handles on display. Thank you.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects: mathematics, English language, physics, chemistry, and biology, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates on this station. Learners can also connect with Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.